You made a promise to yourself this morning, but by noon, you had already let it slide. Not because something terrible happened, not because you're lazy, not because you don't care. You let it slide because somewhere along the way, you stopped believing yourself. And here's what no one tells you about that. It didn't happen overnight. It was built slowly, quietly, one unkept promise at a time. We spend a lot of time asking all the wrong questions. Why am I like this? Why can't I stay consistent? Why do I start something and fall completely apart? Those questions assume the problem is your character. But the problem is not your character. It's your record. Self-trust is not a feeling. It's not something you wake up with on a good day and you lose it on a bad day. Self-trust is a ledger full of deposits, withdrawals, just not drama, just behavior. Every time you say you're going to do something and you do it, that equals the deposit. Every time you say you're going to do something and you don't, that's the withdrawal. Most people, they're not lazy. They're not undisciplined. They're not broken. They're operating with a depleted ledger. And when the balance is low, your brain, it hesitates. Not emotionally, mechanically. It doesn't believe you. That's why motivation fades. That's why a strategy doesn't stick. That's why you restart every January with the same goals. You're not building on a weak foundation. You're building on low internal credibility. And until you understand that, you will keep misdiagnosing yourself. Here's where it gets super duper important. Because I don't want to hear you depleted your ledger. Because that adds to your list of reasons to continuously shame yourself. I want you to understand how it happened. So at some point in your life, maybe for years, you were in this survival mode. You were managing money that didn't stretch far enough. You were holding things together for everyone else. You were making decisions based on urgency, not intention. But that was that season. Your brain learned something in that season. It learned that big goals are unstable and you should handle what's immediate. Stabilize first, dream later. Your needs, they come last. That wasn't weakness, that was a strategy. You delayed your dreams to stabilize your life. You postponed yourself to protect everything else. You chose responsibility over recognition. So no, that's not failure. That, in fact, is endurance. But survival strategy has a cost. The cost is this. When you try to step into the new season, your old wiring doesn't automatically update. Because you want growth, but the system still expects survival. You want consistency, but your habits still respond to urgency. And the tension you feel right now on your jaw, that's not failure, that's transition. So no, you're not behind, you're mid-shift. And that is a difference. Now let's talk about the depleted ledger a little bit deeper. Because it can look like 8 a.m. And at 8 a.m. you think, I'm going to do this one list. So that was the promise. But by 8:15, you think, let me check my socials. That's the slide. And by 9:30 a.m., you're like, forget about it. I'll do it tomorrow. That's the withdrawal. So it's not dramatic. It's just logged and logged again and again. And your brain, it loves that dopamine. Scrolling is immediate. You kept a promise that was slow, but when your credibility is already low, your brain will choose dopamine every single time because dopamine feels safe. Keeping your word, it exposes you. And when you're not used to winning, that all speaks for itself. So your system protects you. It steers you away from more evidence of failure. That's mechanical. That has nothing to do with morals. So no, you're not a bad person. You're a person whose protection system is working overtime in a season that no longer requires it. There are levels to where people are right now. There's the first level. That's the one that looks like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then later you ask yourself, why am I like this? You see the shame? It repeats. But then when you get to level 2, it looks like, oh, I feel great today. I'm doing everything I said I would. And then 30 days later, you're just not feeling it. So you stop and you repeat. But level 3, it sounds quieter than both of those. It sounds like, I don't feel like it. I'm tired. The pressure, it's real. But I'm a person who does ABC. So I'm doing it. It's not about the hype. There's no announcement. Just a quiet override. So level 3 isn't louder than the last 2. It's just quiet. And that's how you know real things are happening in real time. So you don't rebuild self-trust with a dramatic overhaul. You don't rebuild it with vision boards. It all sounds fun, but you don't rebuild with a new planner. You rebuild it with one kept promise, whether it's small, whether it's boring, but please note that it's non-negotiable. So 30 minutes before you jump on your phone, go for a walk, maybe write a page for a book you've been writing, whatever it is, just keep to it. Not when you feel inspired, not when the conditions are perfect. You keep it, especially when it feels insignificant, because your brain is not looking for grand gestures. It's looking for evidence. Evidence that you mean what you say you mean. Evidence that it's time. Evidence that you can be trusted. So every time you override the slide, you weaken the old wiring. Every time you follow through, you strengthen the new one. So that's not motivation. It's not hype. That's identity changing through repetition. That's like me stirring batches of soap, waiting for them. I'm showing up, but I'm still repeating that same cycle. That is the quiet middle. And that is exactly where the shift happens. Before I go, I want to leave you with something. You have been reading your whole life wrong. Not because you weren't paying attention, but because no one gave you the right framework to read it. Every sacrifice that you made, that was data. Every season you survive, again, data. Every time you held things together when they should have fallen apart 20 times over, that was data. The ledger's always been there. It just needs to be rebuilt. And it gets rebuilt the same way it got depleted. One promise at a time. Starting with the next one you make to yourself. The next one that you keep. The evidence was always in your life. You just didn't know how to read it yet. This is episode 1 of Rebuilding Self-Trust. Subscribe, because episode 2 goes even deeper. We're not chasing hype here. We're installing a standard. I'll see you in the next video.